All right, now business groups across South Africa have been unanimous in their condemnation of the current looting, rioting attacks. Groups like Makro and Pick have suffered greatly from the unrest. Clicks closing their doors, malls and other outlets have been set on fire. Business organizations have warned that the economic impacts are potentially devastating. Initially, of course, the malls are shut, then jobs are lost, then businesses close, and many groups are warning that the worst affected here are the small township businesses. Let's speak to a business leader now, Bonang Mohale, who is currently chairman of the Bidvest Group Limited. Bonang, thank you for talking to us as always. Such a sad day. As a human, put aside business, a leader that we all know, are you feeling despondent?
Extremely concerned indeed, even more concerned when our security cluster ministers actually admit that there are some of the people who are supposed to be protecting us whilst we are sleeping at night, who are probably fermenting and working with the hooligans. I think it's absolutely concerning to realize that the enemy is within and I'm sleeping with the enemy. So for me, there is an intersectionality amongst, on the one hand, ethno-tribalism, on another, this notion of rampant criminality, because that's what you are confronted with. And then lastly, of course, some people that have genuine desperation. And that desperation we can understand, because this is day 474 of a national lockdown. Most people have lost their jobs, unemployment is high, youth unemployment even higher, and we know that the devil finds work for idle hands. But that is precipitated by a number of things. Number one, of course, it's this 9 wasted years of state capture. Secondly, it is the recession we were already in. Thirdly, Moody's did not help by joining Fitch and Standard & Poor's in rating us below investment grade. So by the time the pandemic came, we were prostate, face down, and absolutely finished. As if that's not enough, we say this liberal democracy rests on 4 pillars: on a free press, on a constitutional democracy, the supremacy of the Constitution. Thirdly, we say it depends on independent civil society. And then lastly, the rule of law. All of those 4 are hugely challenged at the moment. As if it's not enough that the Constitution has been affirmed, a sitting president is now sitting in prison, which should be lauded, and every South African should say, 27 years into democracy, this is working. Now, we saw looting happening yesterday for the whole day. In the course of the morning, we had already lost 2 billion, 20 malls have been banned. Now we are facing the prospects of energy and food security. Most of these malls are diagonally opposite police stations, and yet our police were standing there with their mouth full of teeth as if they are ill-prepared or they didn't know. The question needs to be asked. But what then is the work of knowing that we are going to the apex court with the former president? Thereafter, the State Security Agency having told us not 8 but 9 alerts that they've given. What have we done to make sure that we are indeed prepared? Because it was General George Patton who said, great wars are won by good execution, not great plans, because good execution will save even a mediocre plan.
Bonang, say it all comes together. Say this is stopped. This is halted. I mean, we're going to go to Durban, a massive mall under attack tonight. So of course, it still continues. But say the situation gets under control in a day or 2. Of course, we're in a situation where we want investment. Now there'll be disinvestment. We wanted an economic recovery. This, like you say, is taking us backwards. But how dire is it? Do you think the recovery, the plans of a prosperous future are still there? Or is this, like some say, the straw that breaks the camel's back now?
No, in fact, you know, it's not the first hammer that breaks the big rock. It's the last stroke. It doesn't mean that the first one was actually useless. So we need to be intellectually honest with ourselves that groups like Bonang Mohale in KwaZulu-Natal have been harassing construction companies in KwaZulu-Natal, stopping operations, demanding equity for free, and saying, but you can only employ people from here, which has been absolute thuggery. As if that's not enough, we saw tens of trucks being banned under the guise to say, but no, you are employing foreigners. Now, under the guise of a former president that chose to defy the apex court in the country, he set up the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture, chaired by Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. He wrote the terms of reference of this commission. He said, no, I'm not going to go. Because we said we are going to be a constitutional democracy, and we did nothing. But no, it gets even worse. What were we thinking when this ANC-led government protected the same president for no less than 8 occasions of a vote of no confidence in the National Assembly, knowing that he didn't start this bribery, stealing, and cheating now? You see, state capture is not like corruption. It is both systemic and systematic, and it rests on 4 pillars. Number 1 is about creating a shadow government. Number 2, it's about repurposing the more than 740 state-owned enterprises and state-owned companies. Number 3 is about getting rid of the good people who are experienced with a demonstrable track record, who know what they are doing, and replace them only with those people that will be able to sign the optimum mine over to the Guptas. Lastly, of course, you get greedy. You're not happy with the fact that in the first 5 years, you stole 1.4 trillion South African rands. You then say, I'm going to capture National Treasury. That is the biggest asset manager in the continent, with almost 3 trillion of assets under management.
So what you're saying is the chickens are coming home to roost. But we still have to go on. Like, hopefully this is stemmed. And then, I mean, if we talk about the impact, Bonang, people are talking about the township economy, black-owned businesses, small businesses, the people who we wanted to be there building this economy, they are the most vulnerable. Is that a fair assessment? Will the big companies be okay? Maybe you can look at it even from Bidvest's perspective, selling cars, selling stationery, but otherwise in financial services, but you are involved in retail. What's the view from a big company as opposed to a small business in a township? And I guess we need both.
You see, you have hit the nail on the head. For 27 years, we have been talking about the township economy. You see, a social activist is not a person that talks about the community. It's a person that works in and with the community. What township economy? We had many opportunities. All the casino licenses were in the former homelands. This ANC-led government, when it came into power, they had an opportunity to give these licenses to black business people in South Africa. No, but they went to the usual suspects. No, this ANC government had an opportunity when all of us grew up with shopkeepers in the townships, buying bread and trying to keep the wolf away from the door. No, when they built big shopping malls, they didn't say, no, you see, one of our laws is broad-based black economic empowerment. Therefore, the malls will be owned by the communities in which it's located, which is mostly black people. No, most of the malls are, again, owned by the usual suspects. So today, how has this manifest 27 years into democracy? The inequality has widened. Racism is at an all-time high. In fact, black graduates are roaming the streets absolutely hopelessly. 10 million young people are not in education, employment, or trading. Public education has collapsed. Public hospitals continue to fail the poor and the vulnerable.
Okay.
As if that's not enough, even this thing that is called education, the shortest way in which you can transcend social classes, being born in an informal settlement in Alexander after 25 years of hard work, of application, that you can afford a house in the leafy suburbs of Bryanston, not because you won a tender, but because you have earned it and you deserve it.
Okay,
because when
Bonang,
one steadily...
You have left us with a little hope, but thank you for giving us your outspoken, as always, and your view of what is happening. Hopefully we can chat again soon when things look a bit better. We have run out of time. Thank you. That was Chairman of the Bidvest Group Limited, Bonang Mohale.